Big Pharma Western medical information matrix, I have saved a tremendous amount of money. I do not have to pay $954 a month anymore. I'm saving $10,000 a year, closer to $12,000 a year on health insurance. And they have lost out, the insurance companies, on that revenue. Big Pharma, just the Remicade alone, the retail bill was about $80,000 per treatment, for which I would get one every 7 weeks, which meant that roughly they were generating about $560,000 worth of income from my treatment every single year. And currently, they're generating $0 off of me. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my story with ulcerative colitis and how I went from first getting diagnosed to going through years of just consuming cocktails of pills to finally figuring out a way to never have to take a pill again. I have not taken any of Big Pharma's medication in over 4 years. So let's get into it. In my early 20s to mid 20s, I ended up spending about $954 every single month on health insurance. I needed to get the platinum level plan. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield, which meant I was spending about $12,000 a month, a little bit less, but let's just call it $12,000, a year. $12,000 a year, which meant over 5 years I was spending $60,000. And that was what I needed to cover the Remicade infusions, which became the most expensive part of my treatment for ulcerative colitis. So just pulling up on Google some definitions for ulcerative colitis. What happens during ulcerative colitis? Ulcerative colitis is a chronic disease of the large intestine in which the lining of the colon becomes inflamed and develops tiny open sores or ulcers. This condition is the result of your immune system's overactive response. What if colitis is left untreated? If ulcerative colitis remains untreated, the inflammation can spread to the deeper layers of your colon and result in a very dangerous complication called toxic megacolon. This condition can lead to life-threatening infections, kidney failure, or a colon rupture and needs to be treated immediately. Surgery can eliminate ulcerative colitis and involves removing your entire colon and rectum. In most cases, this involves a procedure called ileal anastomosis surgery. This procedure eliminates the need to wear a bag to collect stool. I didn't know that. I thought you had, if you removed that, to shit in the bag. I'm living proof that that is not the only way to cure it, as I have cured it, which I will be telling you about in this video. And since treating ulcerative colitis on my own by leaving the information matrix that I was operating within, I rate the pain of experiencing ulcerative colitis at its furthest advancement. Right, it's a progression of what you experience in terms of the inflammation and all of that. They would say the advancement of the disease, and I rate that pain up there with breaking my leg in half. And so I was diagnosed. I ended up in the hospital to get the diagnosis, and I started basically a cocktail of pharmaceutical pills as a way to treat this, because there's no cure. There's only a treatment, which involves an endless popping of pills. And I really didn't like the idea that I was taking pills at 18 years old, and I kind of felt like I was a slave to the pharmacy. If I wanted to travel for 2 months, that really wasn't possible, because at that point, the insurance was just not releasing that quantity of medication at one time. And I also had some concerns, like what happens if there's ever an issue with like supply chains or something. And so I didn't like it, but I didn't know what to do, and I kept on this way for many years. And one of the pills that I was taking was called prednisone. And I guess this is a more common pill used for a variety of reasons. It helps reduce inflammation, and some of the fun side effects are redistributing body fat to your midsection, to your cheeks. It induces breakouts, so you're showing up pimply everywhere. And I had to take this pill every day for years until eventually I was put on a new drug that had just been approved by the FDA called Remicade. Now, in between that time, I was hospitalized again. I had taken a shot, I guess, of Everclear that really triggered a bad reaction. And within a couple days, I was in bad shape. I went to the hospital, and I ended up losing like 20 pounds. Like, I couldn't eat for a while until everything cleared out. I was on this intravenous diet. By the time I got out, I was 130 pounds. I think I even lost 30 pounds. I was probably 160. I came out at 130. I was ghostly pale. And while I was there, a doctor had told me that I would never be able to shit normally again. I would have this diarrhea kind of stool for the rest of my life, which sucked. But I had wondered, is that true? Because I was shitting fine, a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever. And I went back to the doctor who had become my primary care physician, and he said, no, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, which was my first experience of seeing these experts, not have consensus among themselves regarding the thing that they're supposed to be an expert in. And the bigger implication is that right now we live in a world where the masses have everyone has access to more information than at any point in history. And instead of being better informed than at any point in history, we are mostly confused. People have become lazy regarding information. They trust mass consensus. They trust the experts, the institutions. They really think naively that these people have their best interests at heart. And I guess at that time I had thought so too. I thought this was the best way forward. It's kind of this, or I guess they would cut out my intestine and I'd shit in the bag for the rest of my life. What are the long term, what's going to happen to me when I'm 60? First of all, just taking the other pills, but now I'm taking this new thing. There's no way that they know what happens to someone who takes this for 10 or 20 or 30 years because it hasn't been around that long. And, one of the points I came to realize is attribution is almost impossible. They do these studies, but attribution in a complex system like the human body, everyone in society today is sick. And they'll tell you this is what made you sick. But there's so many things kind of going in to compound the effects of your problems, of the poisons that you're taking, whether it's the sugar, it's the glyphosate-laced bread and wheat and the pasta, it's the poisoned water, right? It's all compounding, and now everyone is sick. And I saw this video about water, and it really spoke to me. The guy was showing, I think it was a Japanese scientist showing that the water would ferment the rice versus rot the rice versus just create mold depending on how he spoke to it. He would say nice things to the water, and it was really mind-blowing. It's kind of esoteric and woo-woo in a lot of ways, but I thought there's something here, because they showed on the microscope that there's these chains of molecules. I guess 12 water molecules form this chain, and if you look at water that's come out of the pipe, it looks kind of sad, but if you start talking to it or praising it, basically saying thank you water, it forms these beautiful snowflake-like patterns in real time. And I was just blown away by that. And the realization that I had was that my body is between 62 and 70% water, 70% when I'm properly hydrated. And so I had been focused on my diet for several years at that point. I had cut out sugar, which I had to go through a full detox, I was doing hard drugs or something. I had night sweats when I stopped eating sugar, and I really realized how bad that was. And when I went back to have a cocktail at the same restaurant that I used to enjoy, it was Dos Caminos, Like, their cocktails were absolute shit because it was simple syrup in every cocktail. I hated them after. I won't drink it. And so I had focused on health, but my realization at this point was, like, the quality of the water molecule actually is, I thought, more important than the quality of the food, because your body is mostly water. And so from that day on, I never drank tap water again. I was aware of, like, fluoride and all of that, but I was like, fuck it, maybe I was being cheap or lazy sometimes, and I would drink tap water. From that moment on, I never drank tap water again. I bought the expensive bottled water that, had minerals in it that came from an old spring, artisanal water, whatever. And I noticed a big difference almost immediately. And I looked up some essential oils that help with digestion and inflammation. I put oregano, rosemary, and turmeric, like 1 drop of these oils once a day in a glass of water, and I drink them. And I had this crazy idea that by doing this, I would be able to get off the pills, because my body, by drinking this high quality of water, would be reducing the inflammation that was otherwise occurring. And so I took a leap of faith, and I stopped taking the medicine that doctors told me I would have to take for the rest of my life. The Big Pharma trained sales reps, the doctor, told me that I would have to take this for the rest of my life. And, I don't think that the doctor in particular was someone with nefarious intentions. He was a good guy. He was a family guy. But I always wondered, like, how healthy is this guy really? Like, every time I go to the doctor's office, every time I went to see him, I noticed the can of Coca-Cola open on. He's drinking Coca-Cola every day. Like, I knew at least that wasn't good for you. And he's a gastroenterologist. So I took this leap of faith, and I was kind of nervous, right? Am I going to get sick? Am I going to have to go back to my handcuffs? And a week goes by, and nothing. And 2 weeks, and nothing. And I had made this one other change. I was cooking with avocado oil instead of vegetable oil, which the vegetable oil is obviously cheaper. But I had been cooking with avocado oil, and lo and behold, I did not get sick. And 3 weeks went by, and 4 weeks went by, and I would cook at home, so I'd have control of the ingredients. I was eating a very good, healthy diet. I tried to replicate that diet when I was busy eating out at specific locations. There was one chain called Dig In that I really liked. They had a great farm-to-table sourced menu, and it was like $12 or $13. And I noticed that if I ate there every day for a week, I would start to get sick. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I went there and I asked, like, where is all of the food coming from? And it was coming from a farm, and like there's no antibiotics in the chicken. It's eating a good diet. The salad is organic. And then I asked, what do you cook the food in? Canola oil. And that was a big realization for me. Like, looking up what canola oil actually is, there is no reason this should be going into the human body. Every ingredient label that you look at, go into the supermarket, look at your chips. They're fucking all baked in vegetable oil and canola oil and all of these seed oils. And like, canola oil was not consumed by humans 100 years ago. So today, I only cook my food in beef tallow or pig lard. And I eat heavily meat that is very, very high quality. It only eats grass. The cows only eat grass. I only eat wild caught salmon, wild caught fish. I don't eat farm raised fish where they're feeding them GMO corn and soy, and they're all bunched together and they're getting sick, and they got to take antibiotics to prevent like mass infection from breaking out, because there's a compounding effect of eating the fish, you're eating the animal that's consuming these things, and then putting that into your body. And I think it was the base oil or the lubricant that you use that made a huge difference, because even though I was eating these high quality meats, if I cooked it in vegetable oil or if I ate at a place that did, I would still get sick. Look up a video of how canola oil is made. Like, it is industrial waste. It is sludge. It does not belong in your body. It is disgusting. And as a general rule of thumb, I don't put anything in my body that humans weren't eating 500 years ago, 200 years ago. Like, the level of complexity involved in creating a new chemical and then introducing it to a dynamic system as complex as the human body, and then saying, oh yeah, we know exactly where everything went. Bullshit. Okay, these tests are bullshit. That stuff is not safe. Everyone is sick in society today. And so, like, the big realization that I had was that there's so much information out there, and you really have to be the gatekeeper of the truth, of your truth. I believe in an objective truth. And objectively speaking, if you follow the FDA's recommended diet, you're going to get sick. They're fucking retarded. Like, they are wrong. Whether it's for nefarious reasons or because they're just incompetent, I don't know. I wasn't there when they made those charts up, when they created the food pyramid. I do know that, Charlie Munger says, what is it? Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. Something like that. There's big incentives behind big agriculture, behind Big Pharma. These companies are there to make a profit. At the least, that's their motivation. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. And their people in government, at the doctor's office, are recommending things that have been trained and approved by these massive institutions. Do not trust them. Do your own research. Live a better life. I stopped taking pills. Why can't you? If you like this video, subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful, and I will see you next time.